Hey guys, so I've been a bit slack with the videos lately, I'm sorry, but the result of about, what was it, 2 weeks ago, I think it was, I was working on the lift mechanism, was finished. I just never got around to doing a video, and as you can see in the background, I'm chewing up quite a bit of breadboard for the test circuit, and I'm keen to reuse that breadboard for other things that I'm working on, so I thought I'd better get this video done ASAP. So if you remember from the previous videos, it's essentially the rack sits on the wall of the bot, and this mechanism sits in between the two drive pods, and there's some kind of a connection between the two left and right drive pods, and there's a slight guide rail here, but obviously each drive pod runs on its own guide rail as well, so there's enough sort of balancing force. And there's two servos on it, so the servo on the back controls the pinion gear, and that pinion gear obviously runs up and down this rack. And then on this side you've got the brake servo, which just has a tiny little horn in there connected to a paper clip, which is connected to this this brake mechanism. So as you can see, the brake mechanism just slides in and out like this quite easily. And on this side, not that you can see very well because the servo's in the way, you can actually see the teeth engaging. Get the camera to focus on that a little bit better there. You can see the teeth engaging just in there to bite into that pinion gear. So when those teeth are engaged, there's quite a bit of grip. I'm pushing quite firmly on this at the moment. But if I remove that, obviously it will move as freely as the servo will allow me to move it. So there's no power engaged at the moment. It's completely free. And I'll turn it on and I'll show you how it all works in a sec. So one of the biggest challenges that we had was that there's not enough power in this servo to pull the brake into position when it's sitting at a non-perfect spot, and by that I mean when the teeth don't line up perfectly. So you kind of want enough power for it to go, I can't even do it manually, but you kind of want enough power to sort of just wiggle it, and get it into the right spot. So we're certainly going to have to fine-tune the positioning of this servo, or as I've highlighted before, Guy has indicated that a better mechanism for braking might be required with a pin or some kind of another kind of wedge mechanism, but I can't think of one at the moment that will have the same gripping power as 5 teeth engaged on the pinion gear in a circular pattern. So it might just come down to locating the sweet spots for the brake along the rack, and only allowing the rack to stop at those positions where the brake is likely to engage perfectly, and not allow it to stop in the positions like that where the brake will not engage. And that way we can keep the cheap little mini hobby servo there, and I don't have to worry about it. But without further ado, I will turn all this on and I'll show you how it all goes about. Yep. Which way do you want to be? Let's just turn that off. Which way do you want to be? Okay, let's go down here. There we go. Alright, so you can hear the servos grinding away there at the moment, and that's one of the biggest issues that we've got. I haven't set in place an idle mechanism yet, and I'm planning on putting it in so that when the servo moves from one position to another position, it will idle and turn off the servos so they don't fight against themselves. And that's obviously the whole reason behind having the braking mechanism, so that there's no downwards force on those servos when they get disengaged, and they won't rotate. When that brake is engaged, it'll be almost impossible to move the rack and pinion together. Right, so essentially all I'm doing here is just picking a position and then clicking this button next to it saying go to that position. And you can see here that the brake is doing nothing at the moment because I've just got it free. So this little green LED here indicates the brake is free. This little red LED indicates the brake is engaged, and as you can see, as I do this, it's just engaging. So the operation of the bot in practice would be the brake is engaged, you program it to go to a different position, and you click the button, it would disengage the brake, go to that position and engage the brake again. Just like that. So it's a relatively quick motion. I'm pretty happy with that. And you think about how that's going to be in vertical sense. Very cool. Lifting the bot up and down. It's chewing its own cable. But as you saw there are certain positions where when you get to that position, the brake does not want to engage. So you kind of have to look for that sweet spot where the brake is happy to slot into a tooth. Tweak it slightly. And that will take some practice to figure out where that servo has to go to. That big servo on the back's got plenty of power to be precise, so we don't have to worry about that. That's quite a chunky servo. That'll lift quite a bit. But we're going to have to fine tune that probably per bot, to be honest, depending on the 3D print and depending on how accurate the teeth are. I know for a fact that there was a bit of elephant footing on the pinion gear teeth when I printed it, so it's probably not slotting in as smoothly as it could. And I'm sure that there'd be a way if I reprinted the pinion gear with a bit of a better print quality, because this was also done at 300 micron just to get it done as quickly as possible, 0.3 mil. It's not a particularly fantastic print job. I just wanted to test it. So if I printed it fine, or at least the gear and the pinion mechanism, the rack gear and the pinion mechanism, I'm sure we'd have a better match. But yeah, anyway, that is the end of that. So the next step for this circuit, I'm going to disassemble it today because I've got other things to do, but the next step for this circuit would definitely be to take the pot away and perhaps have 3 push buttons, being the up, the crouch, and the down position. So there's the withdrawn position, the crouching position, and the fully extended position, and have those finely tuned so that as you pushed each one of those buttons, it would the large servo would move along the rack to that position. Brake disengage, servo would move, and then the brake would re-engage, and there would be no risk or fault that would not happen. And I'm also going to put these servos on a transistor of some kind. I haven't figured out yet which one, because I've got to figure out the power requirements for it, so that I can programmatically disengage them, because at the moment they're always wired up to this 5-volt power source. So even when you don't really want them to do anything, they're essentially trying to always maintain their position, and we want to turn them off when we're not happy. When we're happy with the position that they've achieved. So yeah. Anyway, guys, that's the most recent update. I'm going to get onto trying out the distance sensors later on tonight, and I'll send you a video then. Cheers, boys.